Try this again. Charlotte Van Horn, thank you for coming on. How are you?
Mhm. I'm doing great. I am doing great, Kent. How are you today?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you for
Yes.
asking. Um,
Yes.
so you guys, I met Charlotte at where else? The Panama Business Club,
Mhm.
where like-minded individuals get together every couple weeks and just share all things that are good, bad, and somewhere in the middle. And so here's something that is awesome. I wanted the world to know what Charlotte is up to. Charlotte leads the Black Expats of Panama. Which Charlotte? So let's pretend like we're just meeting
Okay.
and tell us your story. I mean, you're in Panama, but how'd you get to Panama? What's your connection to Panama? When did you first discover Panama?
Okay. Okay. Well, first of all, Kent, thank you very much for having me on. And I know we only met a couple of weeks ago, but I love you. You're my
Oh,
brother.
hey,
I
thank
do.
you.
I honestly do. And we talk a little bit, when we met and then even before. And the one thing I like about you is that you know how to keep it 100. You know how to
Oh,
say what you need to say and just keep it moving. You understand? And I respect that. I do. I
oh,
love it.
cheers.
So anyway, I am from Glassboro, New Jersey. And the way I ended up here, Glassboro is a little teeny little town in New Jersey. It's the Rio Garden State, a town from the Rio Garden State. And the way I ended up here is that I met my husband, Alfredo, in 1993. And he is Panamanian. And when I first met him, he said, when I retire, I'm gonna go back to Panama. I was like, oh, that's nice, because honestly, back in 1993, I had never traveled. I mean, like ever. I had never traveled, left the country or anything like that. And at that point in my life, I couldn't imagine anything being better than the United States. I
Sure.
couldn't imagine ever living anywhere else. Even if I went on vacation, it was just never in my mind ever to move somewhere else. So I'm like, and we were just meeting the first date. So I was like, well, I won't be knowing him then anyway, right?
Oh,
So 30 years later, here I am.
yes.
We ended up getting married, and he's retired Air Force, and we spent a lot of years in Virginia,
Okay.
and we just did a full transition to Panama. He came kind of more full time in 2018. We have a few years between us, so I wasn't done working and everything like that. So he came first, and then I came just permanently, really, in
All
November
right.
of 2021.
Now, I remember when we were talking and that you guys actually purchased a property early days in Panama, right? Like
Yes.
'07 or something awesome like
Yes.
that. '06,
12. It was 2012.
2012. Okay.
2012. And I'm gonna tell you something. I think that it was the best decision that we have ever made as a couple.
Oh,
And it was so random, because at 2004, maybe that's what you were thinking. My first time coming here was 2004. And even though when I came, it was like, that's nice. I enjoyed it. I liked the way it felt. Still at that point, never thinking of being here like full time or anything like that. But when we did start thinking about it, and we came and we saw this spot at Brisa de Golf Norte, which is about 15 minutes from Panama City, 15 minutes from the airport. Great location for us.
yeah.
And we just knew our house was dirt at that time. We saw a model home. We didn't know, and we just knew. And I mean, literally, I think we put something down on the lot that day. Never
In
looked at anything else.
'04 or 2012.
That was 2011, or either like
Okay.
it might have been like 2010 December. Because it took about a year for the house to be built, and I'm so glad that we did that.
Sure.
And a lot of people have a different journey. You might come and rent. So my journey is a little bit different than some of the people that I know, but that's how we ended up here. And we bought it in 2012. So, of course, it was a lot less then. It was a special. We had $15,000 off if we did something by the end of that month. And, it was just a done deal. And we did that. And Then we started just kind of building it up little by little. We would come like a whole month out of a year. Like we come 2 times a year, 2 weeks at a time, and just get little things done. And eventually, we got it to where it was very livable.
And that's where you are right now.
Yes.
Man,
Yes.
I love that because it's nice to sort of have a long runway, right? It's like you first discover a place and then it's marinating and then
Yes.
you pull the trigger, but it's not quite ready yet. And then it's
Yeah.
like, all right, and then you get organized little by little. And then it's like, all right, not cut ties per se, because I know you still go back to the States and
Yes,
stuff.
I
But
do.
yeah, but it's like that's a very comfortable way to do it.
Hmm.
And yeah, I love that. So when did the idea of this awesome group that you've created, when did that come to you?
Well, what I do is I'm a sister locks consultant. I have a company called Locks Forever, and we had a very successful business in Northern Virginia. And I knew that the reason that I started that business, Kent, was because to we decided to build in Panama. And I said, okay, Alfredo's 9 years older. So what am I going to do? I've been an administrative professional like all my life, but I
Sure.
don't speak Spanish. Well, I'm working on it, but
Yeah.
especially at that time, I didn't speak any Spanish at all, and I really don't have the desire to learn a bunch of grammar at this age in my life. Honestly,
Yeah.
I can be conversational and have my lawyers read my stuff. I'm
There
good,
you go. Yeah.
And so I thought, what can I do? What
Mm,
can I do to earn money if Alfredo decides to retire and come here sooner? And I thought about, the hair business, and so that's how I ended up. What was my question? I'm sorry.
well, how did you? So the group I was
Oh,
the
oh,
business
okay,
I'm
okay, that's
curious
what it was.
about.
Okay, thank you. Keep me straight. Keep me
That's all right.
straight.
I'm
I
good with
have my
that.
senior moments.
That's okay.
So anyway, so I started that business and it just exploded. I
Mm,
literally retired from corporate America doing that part-time for 5 years. After
okay.
5 years of doing that part-time, I retired from corporate America, which was in 2017. So then what I wanted to do was bring it here. So when I created the group, initially I was like, okay, how am I going to introduce the people in Panama to Sister Locks? Because it's not something that's common here at all. Matter of fact, I think I am the only certified Sister Locks consultant in the country.
Okay.
So it would be a matter of educating the people too. And the Sister Locks thing was something I could do without having to have all the grammar and the language. Okay. So that's how I started it. I was like, I need to connect with Black expats. I knew it was going to be Black expats because sister locks are a little expensive and it might be a little bit out of the price point for
On locals.
locals.
Yeah.
Okay, so you would have to have retirees, on US pensions maybe, or just people that understood the whole concept. And I started looking for Black something and I couldn't find it.
Yeah.
Because that's a very niche thing. The
Sure.
only people that are going to be looking for sister locks or locks, traditional locks, are Black people.
Yep.
So I was like, okay, I kept looking for like Black expats or Black culture or Black anything in Panama on Facebook, because that was my main source, social
Sure.
media source. Nothing came up. And finally one day I said, why are you waiting for something to happen? Make it happen. And I
Right.
started the group. I
If you build
started
it,
the
they
group.
will come.
Yes, I started the group. I started posting little things about our journey, building here and different things about Panama. It took 1 year from May 2019 to May 2020. We had 200 members in the group.
Ooh,
Then what happened was George Floyd and Karen in the park.
yeah.
When I tell you that that day, it was right after the Memorial Day holiday, and I'll never forget, I was watching the TV, I was watching Gayle King, and we're in the middle of COVID, where we're in the beginning of COVID, everything is so uncertain.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there watching the TV, and I'm like, what the hell is going on? When I watched this murder before
Yeah.
my eyes.
Mm.
And then it was Karen in the park, threatening a guy about the dog, and I'm going to call the police. And my heart just my heart just broke.
Yeah.
And I'm so sorry. Sometimes I get emotional about
Okay.
it. It was so painful.
Yeah.
And I remember Gail King coming back on, like after those two stories were told. And then she said, "This is just too much today."
Mm.
And I remember that's exactly how I felt. Like, this is too much. And it turns out that not only the United States, which was my concern, but I felt like the world saw that it was too much. And things started happening from that moment. Literally, I people just started looking for me. You
Yeah.
know, people just started looking for Black expats
Yep.
stuff. And to put it mildly, we went from having 200 members in May of 2020. We probably, in the next year, we probably grew another 2,000.
Oh, wow.
At this point, we've grown since May of 2020, when that happened. The Facebook group alone has grown by over 4,200 additional people.
Chewy. Now,
Yes, so we
are
have over
most
4,300 at this point.
that's great, man. Are most of those people based in the U.S. or do you get how many black expats would you think are here in Panama now? Any? I mean, it's hard to guess. Like, would you say maybe like probably a couple hundred at least, right? Like living in Panama, doing it at the beach or up in the mountains or in the city,
At least,
right?
at least. And I would say that even when it comes to the Black expats who are in the group that are here that are active, we
Right.
have like no less than 50 to 60 Black expats living here now who are active. I mean, like,
Right.
come to the events that we have, and
Yeah.
very active in the group and in the community, in the network. So it's hundreds. It's
Cool.
hundreds.
No, that's so awesome. And then
Hmm.
are you find where else do they look? And why do they ultimately decide on Panama? So I'm a black person in the States. I'm like, man, to hell with this. I need out. I can figure out a way to bring my business overseas or, reinvent myself. Or I love what you did. You used your existing business to reinvent yourself, which is just
Hmm.
it's a perfect segue.
Boom, boom, pow.
Yeah, get it. So no, but it's like, where else are they looking? And then why do they decide on Panama?
Well, I think that they decide on Panama for a few different reasons. And number one is because we have Black expats in Panama.
Darn
Because
right.
guess what? You can't go to, I'm looking, because I also have a company called Black Expats Worldwide, because
Okay,
we're going to do this all over the world.
cool.
Okay. But when you start looking for, people that and it's like when you're looking for, and I hope that people don't misunderstand, when you're a Black expat somewhere, it's like, there are certain things that you're familiar, that are familiar to you. Like for us in the Black community, entertainment is a big thing for us. It's a lot of connecting. We connect by music, we connect by, we love movies and things like that. But just to be somewhere you've never been, and to be able to say a line from a movie and everybody get it. And so it's just
Yeah.
that kind of thing. You know what I'm saying? So I think that one of the things that, or some of the things that are attractive about Panama is infrastructure. I mean, first of all, I think that wherever we want to move, I think that's something that we look for. Infrastructure, the dollar, the use of the dollar, the fact that Panama is melanated, and you're typically either black or brown here. So
Melanated.
when
I love
you're
that word.
it's melanated. And so it's not like going to Europe where
Sure.
you're going to stand out,
Yeah.
and I think that for black people, that's kind of been a thing for us. For black people in the United States, it's like we're always, stand out. It's
Stand
like
out.
the first thing that you know about me is that I'm black.
Sure.
And that's kind of just how we're conditioned. That's just how, and I mean, some people don't like us to say it, but it's our life. And it is the truth. It is just the way it is. It's like when you get stopped by a cop, it's different.
Yeah, I
It's
can't
different,
imagine.
Kent, when I get stopped by a cop, or my husband or my brother or my nephew
Yeah.
gets stopped by a cop, than you. I don't care what
No,
nobody says.
I
It's
get you.
different. It's
Yeah.
different. So just to be able to go under the radar a little bit,
Right.
and like everybody's brown,
You
everybody's
might
brown
be
or
you
black.
might be a local, right?
Yes,
It's like,
exactly. You
yeah.
blend in. For example, we drove a Mercedes in Virginia. I didn't want a Mercedes here. I didn't want that car here. I took it to Florida, but I want to blend in. So I
Yeah,
think
sure.
just the ability to be able to feel like you're not, don't, people just don't look at you and say, yes, she's a foreigner.
Yeah.
So that was something else. The other things were, I think, the warm weather. So we
Sure.
really like the warm weather. I think that coming here, I think the Panamanians are very friendly. For the most part, I think Panamanians are very friendly. I know that Panama is not the least expensive Central or South American country to live in, but you
Sure.
get a lot of bang for your buck, baby.
Yeah, if you know where to
You get a
go,
lot here.
you
Yes, you
gotta
do.
I like a local.
Yes, you get a lot for your buck. You get a lot for your buck here. And I think that those are like some of the things. And even though, I mean, compared to the US,
Right.
most of us that live here are living way below the budgets that we were dealing with in the United States
Oh yeah.
on retirement.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's good.
No, it's yeah, and it's I'm with you, man. I mean, as a real
Mhm,
estate guy, those are a
mhm.
lot of boxes we check in terms of, quality of life, the weather, potential value. Where else are these guys looking? Where do you find your audience? Where's the next Black expats worldwide? What do you think another interesting market is? Or perhaps what do you think? Yeah,
Mexico.
really?
Mexico. And that's another reason why we like Panama is the proximity to
Sure.
the United States.
Yeah.
It's very close. It's very close. But Mexico is a hot number.
People kind of are more comfortable. They're like, oh yeah, I have friends that just got back from wherever, Cancun. So it's
Yes,
kind of more of like a known entity, isn't it? Versus Panama, it's still
yes,
kind of exotic, which I prefer. But
exactly.
yeah,
Costa Rica.
okay.
Some people really like Costa Rica.
Costa
I
Rica.
think
Come on, ain't got no Costco Viejo.
I'm going to be looking closer at Mexico. Some people have liked Colombia. I'll
Right?
be looking at Colombia at the end of the year. And if you'll notice, like particularly like, well, Mexico is a little more fair skin. Like one thing that
Right.
that Black people like about Panama better than Mexico is that there's more of a melanated community here.
Agreed. I mean,
So
best
yes,
word.
and the economy is much more stable.
Yeah, it feels that way, doesn't it?
Yes, it does feel
Versus
that way.
having to depend on foreign exchange. It's like
Yes,
1 year you're budgeting for this, next year you're budgeting. It's like, whoa, that just happened pretty quickly.
yes.
For the positive, for the negative. Okay, okay.
Mhm,
No,
mhm,
that's great. Golly, I mean, without getting into the politics in the U.S.,
mhm.
you see this trend. You must see this trend continuing, huh? In terms of people of color wanting to get out and saying to heck with it.
I,
Um,
I
yeah,
do, and it's like we've done Exodus before, and if you think about like the migration of Blacks from even the South to the North.
yeah,
We didn't leave the country because, I mean, we weren't allowed, really, and that's one of the things that I like so much about what we're doing as African Americans. What we're doing is we are changing the trajectory of our lives and also for our children and our grandchildren because we're doing things that our ancestors could not have dreamed of. Our ancestors were not allowed to cross the street,
yeah.
let alone go to another city or another state, safely, God forbid, a country. I do Blacks at Radio. I have a radio show on Blacks at Radio. And it's so funny when I think about it. I come from a very small town in New Jersey. And the only people in my life that I can remember as a little girl who had traveled internationally had gone to Vietnam.
Okay. Oh, yeah. For that.
Okay. So for
Yeah.
us to be doing the things that we're doing now, and yes, it's going to continue. My push is for everybody to have a passport,
Yeah.
So I always encourage people, listen, people say, yes, when I get done doing this, we're going to start to travel. And I say, you know what? Remodeling the kitchen is a real thing, and that you need to do what you need to do. But it's not really going to break you to start with your passport
Application.
process. And
Yeah.
not only that, if you have a passport and your children don't have a passport and something crazy happens in the United States, look
Right.
at, Ukraine. I mean, it's like it's anything could happen. That's where we are today. And I feel
Canadian
like I don't want to have to leave my
invade.
kids. I don't want to have
Yeah.
to leave my kids because they don't have a passport. All our grandchildren have passports. So yes, I believe that it is going to continue because now you have the internet. And whereas little people from little old towns like me, I didn't know other people outside of my town. Back then,
Yeah.
we had four TV channels, right?
Station.
I mean,
Yeah.
I'll be 58 in a minute. And but now, just with the exposure, with them being able to, with other people being able to look at people that look like them and say, "She's doing that,"
Yep.
then they can see it for themselves. And honestly, when we and put don't get me wrong, I'm not here to dog out the United States.
Right.
The United States, we were having a conversation about it the other day. And listen, no matter how hard it has been for blacks in the United States, we have persevered.
Sure.
And we have been able to do things that have put us in a better position to actually take the money that we've been able to work and earn in the United States and get more bang for our buck and peace of mind somewhere else. It's all right. It's our opportunity. And more people are going to do it. And somehow or another, I'm expecting it to get harder to do. So I encourage everybody that if you're thinking about getting a passport or looking at maybe another residency, do it now. The
Do it
United
now.
States has been
Yeah.
telling us to go. The United States has been telling us to leave since slavery was abolished.
Mm.
And I think that we're leaving now. And I think that we got it. And it's like now that we're leaving, the issue is going to be not so much that we're leaving, but that we're taking our money with us.
Yeah. Hey, it's one world, and now with countries like Panama
Yes.
open, so
Mhm.
open to receiving everybody,
Mhm.
and if you could speak a little bit to the Black community here. I mean, my wife is Black, so we
Mhm.
definitely enjoy a little bit of. Well, she's what is the word you use? Melatonized,
She's melanated.
melanated. Yeah, she's black my tan. So
you got a melanated sister.
I got melanated kids for the win. No, but look, I mean, so I've seen a little bit of that. I
Yeah.
mean, but not. I mean, I guess for folks looking at Panama, how would you say the local Black community is in terms of just like cultural richness, integration? Any kind of just if you could speak to that a little bit.
Well, that is okay. So when I first started coming here, my husband's family is very established here and their family very family oriented, and for them,
That's my.
and
I love that. By the
it,
way,
it
like
it is. It's
Latinos, that is
beautiful.
it's the best.
It's so not like a lot of Americans, right? North
Correct.
Americans.
No,
But
our culture is more being independent. Like, hey, you want
individual,
your kids kind of off in New York or LA or Miami, so you
individual.
can say, hey, my kid's doing this. Versus, yeah, he lives right around the corner, and I'm super happy
Right.
about that. Go ahead.
I need a little more variety. And I think that whereas the family is just very happy to be with the family, I needed something more. And so I
I got
started looking for something more. And when I came across the culture part, I was like, man, we've been coming to Panama for years, and it's just the thing is that I live in the DC area. I've lived in the Northern Virginia, DC metro area for years,
you.
and I coming home on the bus, I will look before I start, getting on my phone or doing whatever I was doing, I look at the people on the sidewalks enjoying what I pass by every day. Let me tell you something. As wonderful as DC is, on the weekend I didn't go back there. Because just getting that commute and everything. So I think it's kind of the same thing everywhere. There's a lot to see here, but people that have been here all their lives, you don't even see it anymore. It takes
Sure.
foreigner to come and say, "Hey, did y'all see that?" They were like, "Really?"
You
No,
know more about Panama
you
than
just
I do, they'll say.
exactly.
That's fun. I
And
like that.
so once we started meeting people, and then I learned about the West Indians and the contributions that they made to the canal, and that's where it started. So
Mm.
I started to I brought a group to Panama, a group of women, 42 women, in January 2020, right before COVID hit. And
Yeah.
how
Right.
I ended up meeting Chris Depew. He is the destination management company that I'm partnered with. As I told him, I need something different. I don't want your regular city tour. I want my people to be able to go and see this little old museum.
Is that
That
Chris from Nicaragua? Did he move over here from Nicaragua? Same dude?
yes,
I
yes,
know that guy. Yeah,
yes.
yeah, yeah.
You
Cool.
didn't know
Love that.
Chris is my guy.
I didn't connect Chris with that Chris. That's great.
Yes,
Cool.
that's my dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so he
Oh,
created this trip for me, and where I told him about SAMAP, which the West Indian Museum. He had never heard of it. So from then on, I'd go there every single time, and then it just started to expand from there. And so when COVID hit, and I started getting all these requests, like I'm like, people want to go to Panama, and so I called Chris and I was like, we need to do
do
something.
this
Are you
again.
down?
Yeah.
Yes. And he was like, yes. I said, so here's what I need to do. I need for us to kind of reinvent the trip that you did for me where we went to Samap, but add in it more things that are
Yeah.
relocation friendly, information, professionals, things like that. But to have the main thing was to have a cultural component. So the cultural component, and I just couldn't see how I could do that without going to Cologne.
No way.
And
Come on.
I hadn't been to Cologne since 2004, since the first year that I had come here. And when we started talking about this, it was like 2020. And everybody said, don't go to Cologne. And I just knew in my heart that I needed to go and that we would figure it out. So I told Chris, we need Afro-Panamanian tour guides. We need people that know about the history of Cologne. We need people to, no matter where we're going in a different place, you need people around you that what's safe, what's not, what's proper, what's not.
Sure.
You know
Yeah.
what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So we
Yep.
had all of that. Turns out we go to Cologne on this tour, and then we go to Portobello, and that's how I ended up. I met Roz, and Cologne, the province of Cologne, is the highlight of the trip. It
Cologne is
is.
beautiful.
I mean, we have probably taken. We started doing these tours in May. May of 2020 was our first tour. We're getting ready. We just completed our seventh. And I would say that probably since then, we have probably taken about 110 people to Cologne.
Cool. Good.
And we went this week. We had the cultural day, and we had the Congo dancers
I
come.
saw it.
We've been able to contribute to the community. We use the locals for things. The Congo dancers come, and they look for us every month. We support the art gallery out there in Portobello, the House of Art and House of Congo. And last week when we went, they presented me with a Congo dress.
I saw it.
Oh, that was like, God is so
Honor.
good.
Amen.
That just really, sometimes it gets a little bit, because the Black Expats has evolved so much, keeping it. I had to make an LLC out of it. I
Yeah.
had to get a trademark on it because it was necessary. But trying to keep that balance between community, activism, community contributions, and the business is
Right.
what I'm constantly trying to do. We've invested so much, it was impossible not to do it as a business.
Sure.
Impossible. I couldn't afford it,
Right.
otherwise. But it's wonderful, Kent. I love it
Well,
here.
you're doing great things for Panama. You're doing great things for people of color all over the world. I mean, it's awesome, and it started off as a passion project, and as a guy that sells real estate, I say bring them down,
Yes.
and the more people that know about Panama, the better. Niches are great because then you can get really, really good at specific
Yes.
to any business.
Yes.
So yeah, and thank you for making the time, sharing your story.
Mhm.
We'll make sure to get this out to everybody so that folks know. We'll leave your website down below so folks can
Okay.
find you. And we'll see you at the next Panama Business Club, which
Absolutely.
tomorrow. You coming
Thank you.
tomorrow?
Is it tomorrow?
You should. Did you get
No,
the?
no, I can't get into. I got book club tomorrow night.
That's okay.
It's my book club. I can't miss.
Fair,
But
fair.
listen, thank you for having me. I appreciate the time, and I will see you soon.
Absolutely, Charlotte.
Okay,
Thank you,
thanks,
ma'am.
Kent.
Okay.
Okay, bye
Bye.
bye.